Okay. Good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We are kicking off now for the Archicad training beginners to advanced level. Right. So if you're just joining us on this channel, my name is Bright Nentombari Gira. Right. So I'm your host for today on Architect's Guide. Right. So in partnership with Bars Design Services. Right. So we are kicking off now to start the class for the Archicad tutorial. Right. So we're going to share quickly. Right. We're going to talk about today what Archicad is all about. Right. So why it's important for us to use. Okay. So let me share my screen now and let's begin. Right. So if you're just joining us, please stay tuned. Right. We are doing a 5 days tutorial training. Right. Whereby we're covering on different topics as regarding Archicad. Right. So let me share my screen now. Entire screen. Uh, okay, my screen is not coming up. Okay, all right. Okay, so here we go. So this is the training. So we're talking about Archicad, right? So beginner to advanced level for Archicad, right? So welcome to Architect Guide, right? So powered by Bars Design Services in partnership with Architect Guide, right? So let's dive right in. Right, so today we're going to be talking about the basics of Archicad, the basics of Archicad. Before we go down, so let me go down to the next page where we'll talk about from zero to first building. Right, so now module one. So we'll go down to the module one now. Right, so module one we have the objective of this training is by the end of this module. Right, so by the end of this module, so by the end of this module, students will understand what Archicad is, why it is important in modern architecture, and how to navigate the software confidently. Right. So, like I said, if you're just joining us, we have just started. Right. So you are not far off. Okay. So one thing, let's see. 1.1. What is Archicad and why it matters? What is Archicad and why it matters? Archicad is a building information modeling software that's called BIM for short, building information modeling software used by architects and designers to create intelligent 2D and 3D building models, right? So now it is used for by architects, we have civil engineers, we have designers to create 2D drawings, 3D drawing model, and also presentations for any project. Right? It can be a small project, it can be a big project, whatever the size of the project is, you can use Archicad to handle that particular project. Okay, and so please, if you're just joining us, right, you can actually use the comment section to tell us or to ask a question. If you have any question, you can ask your question directly. Right, so now let's move on to why Archicad is important. So why is Archicad important? We have some five few reasons here, but then there are much more reasons why Archicad is very, very much important for anyone that is into the building industry, right? So building industry, I mean estate surveyors, you have architects, you have interior designers, we have what's it called? Estate managers. We have surveyors. We have there are so many of them, right? So that are into. So we have urban and regional planning too. It's also part of the building related courses, right? So now, why is it important? Number one model for multiple outputs, right? So now, Archicad gives you multiple outputs. So you can just be drawing out your floor plan on Archicad, and it gives you the choice or the ability to do several other aspects of your drawing. Whether it gives you elevation, floor plan, it gives you 3D, it gives you section. Right, all these things can come out from just one output, right? So you can just get everything you're looking for from that one output. Right? So you're drawing your floor plan on the floor plan layer, but while you're doing that, it is still giving you out other aspects of your drawing. Okay, so and then number two, we have faster design and documentation. Right, so now it helps you to document your drawings faster. Right, so while you're doing your floor plans, right, it's giving you a section, it's giving you your elevation, and it's easier for you to document your drawings easily, very fast. Right, so number three, it reduces drawing errors. Right, so you are now able to reduce the amount of errors that goes on with the project, right? So for everything you are going to do for the particular project, right? So you're going to check out all the drawings, right, from your 3D. You're going to check the errors. If there's any error on your 3D, you're going to check that. And before you now implement that design, it is going to be checked out. You're going to see it, and then you're going to say, okay, if this is the error, probably this window is not aligning, this door is not aligning. You can actually make corrections while you're working before you now implement that in a full-scale project. Right, number four, we talk about industry standard being workflow, right? Industry standard, so it gives you the ability to do a streamlined workflow. Probably from the floor plans, you have two or more persons working on the same project at once. Right? Sorry, I'm rushing up and all that. So I believe some persons came from work and they are very tired. Right? So it is used globally for residential and commercial projects. Right, so now it can be used for residential or commercial project depending on what you want to do. Right, so it differs. Right, so for residential, commercial, industrial projects. Right, so depending on the kind of project, depending on the size of project you want to achieve on Archicad. Right, so it gives you the ability to do that. Right, so Archicad is very much different. CAD is very much different from Archicad. Right, so now the Archicad, like for example, you have AutoCAD, you have Archicad. So AutoCAD is mainly for 2D drawing, but while Archicad is you have 2Ds and then you have 3Ds inside. You can actually do rendering, picture rendering. But then for the purpose of this particular course, this training, you're going to be using Enscape as a choice tool for doing 3D modeling. For rendering and all that. So let's move on. Let's move down to the next slide, and then we have go to lesson 1.2. Right, so installing and setting up Archicad, and then number lesson 1.3, Archicad interface overview. Right, so now we're going to step down into Archicad, and then we're going to view Archicad and also see the basics aspect of it, right, for you to begin to get started. Right, for someone that is a beginner, you have absolutely no knowledge at all. Right, so all you need, like I said, is just a laptop and then an internet connection to join us for this live stream. Like I said, you can ask questions on the comment section below while we are still on this drawing. Right, so let me in this section now, and I share something different. Okay, so I will share my screen now for a different topic entirely. Right, so okay, so we have here okay, so here we have, this is a typical Archicad setup. Right, so this is a new project. Look at it very well. One thing it says there is untitled, right? So it's untitled. So we have the menus, we have the menu bar here, we have the toolbars here, we have the navigator section here. And so these are core basic things that you need to know while working with Archicad. Right, so I'll just go through each of them, and then we'll round up for today. Remember, we have an assignment, at the end of this particular project, this particular topic today. We have an assignment for you. So stay tuned up to the end so you can actually join in and then actually work on the assignment and then submit it by the next class we're having tomorrow by this time same tomorrow. Right, so now we have the menu bar. We have the menu bar here. We have file, edit, view, design, document, options. We have teamwork. We have window. We have escape. We have help. So now these are. I added all these. I customized or I added all these other panels to my user interface to make it look much more sophisticated. I usually like that. Right. So, but then look at where we have this default settings, right? So default settings. So for any tool, I click on this toolbar on the left hand side, right? So I'll be seeing the settings on this default settings area, right? Where you have this displayed, or you'll be seeing it here displayed here, right? So for anything, any item you click here. Okay, let me click on this is wall now. So if I'm seeing the wall, I'm seeing the settings dialog for wall. I'm seeing geometry method. I'm seeing structure. I'm seeing linked stories. I'm seeing wall thickness. If I click on roof, for example, so I'm seeing now what I'm seeing is settings dialog for roof, right? So I'm seeing geometry method and then different size, I'm seeing structure. All these are pertaining to roof. Right? If I click on this settings dialog for roof plan for the roof section, you see that it comes up. It shows up my roof settings. I can actually adjust my settings. Right? Probably my roof and the facial of my roof. I can adjust the angle of my roof. I can adjust, and I even choose the type of or work on the type of roof I want to use. I want to see on my 3D, right? So that's what you can have here. And then if I go back, let me click on column. So for column, you see it's still showing the same. They have different sizes, so you can actually edit the height of the column. You can actually edit the width of the column, width, length, and breadth of it. And then you can actually leave it on both sides at equal, right? You have slab and you have all these that tools here. So before we go down to these two bars, right? I'm going to now, I will take us through the menus, right? Through the menu. So the top on the the top part of the Archicad, right? When you open the Archicad, right, you've seen here it's untitled. So when I save, the first thing I would like to do is file. So there's new. I want to create a new document. So now this is a new document I open, right? So if you want to create a new document, so you click on either you open Archicad from your Windows startup menu, and then it opens and it clicks new. But if you open on, if you click on this one, right, you see new. So if I click on this, or I can use Control N to create a new document, right? Or I want to open a project. So this, if I click on Open, I'll see project that I've done before now, and I can actually begin or click on it to start or continue from where I stopped for previous projects, right? So if I want to save, I can click on Control S and I save, and I can change the name of this title here. Once I change it, you see that this untitled, right? It will change from untitled to the name of the project I actually saved it to, right? So now we have external content, we have libraries and objects, we have library manager, right? So library manager is very important too when you want to import your Archicad libraries. Probably you have furnitures, you have cars, you have trees, you have people, you have environments, the designer. You want to add these things for your 3D models, right? You can actually add them through library manager, right? So if you want, I can still do a video talking about or explaining in details. But if you stay tuned all to this training course, right, you can actually see or you can actually go through when I talk about it, you will see it, and I will teach us about how to use the particular tool to import your libraries, because you actually have to download libraries and then have it before you can actually begin to move them in. Right, so now we have plot setup, we have page setup, we have to set up your particular page, and then print. If you want to print, you can just click on Control P or come here from File and then click on Print, and then Control Q to exit Archicad. Right, so we have edit, right? We have edit, we have on edit, you see this undo, redo, this cut, copy, they are all unchecked, right? They're not showing now because we have not actually selected something, we have not actually done something that want to go back and make changes again. All right, so we have not done that. So if we do that, you see that it can begin to make changes. It's going to begin to change accordingly as we want them to. Right. So now let's go to grouping. Go to grouping, and we are seeing auto group. We are seeing or suspend groups. We are seeing can actually use this group to merge. So if I have probably my work is very large and I have plenty of doors, plenty of windows, or plenty walls, right? So I don't want to be selecting all those windows one after the other. I don't want to be selecting those walls one after the other. What I'll do now is to group all the walls together. So group all the text together, to group all the dimensions so that I can actually just click or just highlight one, just click on one, and then everything is highlighted. I can now edit it from there instead of just going one after the other to click while you have a large project you're working on. Okay, so now we move down to display order. It's not showing like I said for because we have nothing here, right? So now we can actually bring an item to the front, right? Just like you have layers in Photoshop. You can actually bring an item in front or bring the other one on top of it, to make it much more easier for you to work with. Right, you have move, you have locking, you have line, you have distribute, all these tools that we'll talk about them as we proceed in the course. Right, so now the next one is view. On view, we have trace. So just like we have tracing paper, where you have to use your tracing paper to place your tracing paper on top of the paper, right? And then you're now tracing on top of it, right? So now you are not affecting the paper underneath. But that's the same thing you have here. You can actually work on a different level, right? But you are seeing below that level. So and then it helps you to now trace out the level that is below. Probably you're working on the ground, you have a ground floor already. You want to now do the first floor, right? What if you click on this trace, what happens is you are going to be seeing the ground floor, the highlighted ground floor, but you won't edit it, you won't touch it, but then you can actually just draw on the first floor, seeing the ground floor. Okay, it becomes easier when I want to begin to talk about the tools each, right? So construction grid. So if I click on this construction grid, what happens? It comes up. So look at the grid. These are the grid lines, right? So these are grid lines. I just choose not to have them displayed as I click them out. Okay, so now we have editing plane. We have trace options. We have ruler to measure. We have guidelines. You can use ruler to measure. We have guidelines. We have guideline option. We have snap guides. We have surface snap. The snap tool now, when you put on the grid, what the snap helps you to do now is helps to snap to a particular cross section. Let's say This is the cross section. This is the cross section. Now it will snap to this particular center point where the two lines cross. So while you're drawing, it just snaps to that point and it makes it easier for you to draw. And then if you're doing a modular drawing, whereby probably you're working with the size of a building or your spaces, right? Your living room, and then or you're working with the size of a tile, 300 millimeter, or you have 600 millimeter. You want to work with that model, so you can actually use grid to work on that, right? So we move down to we have grid snap, like I said, zoom. We have zoom, structural analytical model. For these are for structurals, right? So we have zoom, we have now 3D navigator, navigation extras, right? So all these tools are useful to us, but then there are some of these tools that might be limited. We don't use more of them or something, so you just use a limit, you use them in a limited amount or a limited number, right? So now we have architectural tools, right? So we have under design architectural tools. We have your so for these toolbars, what you have on this toolbar here on your left, you can actually see them on this architectural tool here. So right now you're on column. So if I click on wall, you see that it changes to the wall settings. I can actually adjust the settings of the wall. Right. So we have the structural engineering tools. We have story settings. Right. So the story I was talking about, if you come down to navigator by this left here, your left hand side, it's you see that it is showing you we have stories untitled, we have stories, we have ground floor, we have first floor, first story. You can actually add more stories, create new story, right? You can create new story, you can rename the story, you can edit it. So now for these particular stories we are adding here, you can actually do the settings here. You can actually click on this control 7 and then add them. You can even add here too. You can actually edit the headroom of this story, probably of a particular floor, from ground floor to the ceiling finish, right? So what is the height between these two spaces, right? So you can actually do all those. All right, so we'll talk about that in details, right? So that we have connect. So with connect, you can actually edit your roof member. That can do a gable roof for those of us that are architectural inclined to doing 3D models. You can do a gable roof with this connect, right? You can do this trimming bodies. We don't have that here. That just shown us how it works. But then subsequently, I'll show us, right? Now we move on. We have magic wand settings. We have modify, morph. We have morph and modify railing. We have modify curtain wall. We have design extras for truss, your roof members, rafters for line, and all those other aspects of the design, right? So, right. So I'm just getting a message from someone. Let me see. So just hold on a bit. All right. So please check again. Sorry, just give me a minute. I'm to check with someone. Okay. So I had a message from someone they're supposed to join the screen or the class. All right, so we are still on. So sorry for that. Okay, so we have all these tools here. Okay, so let me where will you stop? Where will you stop? I believe you can all see my screen or you can hear my voice. So if you can't, please just let me know by commenting or let me view also. Let me see how it looks like on my own end. All right, so let me see. All right, so okay, so let's continue from where we stopped. Those of us that are joining us, you're welcome. All right, so let's continue. I can see the screen properly now. Okay, so so for those of us that are joining us now, so if you're still feeling that same, if you're having that same problem, please let me know on the comments, or you can actually do on the group. right? I can see if we can do something about it. But if you're not seeing anything, it should be that the network is having an issue, little bit of an issue. Okay, so please, but if you don't still, if it's still not connecting, please let me know. Let me know so we can fix that and we work together. Right. So let's continue. Let's continue. Right. So all right. So now we're on the next tool, which is document. Next menu, which is document. So on document we have documenting tools. We have section. We have elevations. All these tools right here. Right, I just click on text now. Right. So you can actually find these documents to these tools here here. So we have on this toolbar we have three layers. Let me click on this. Right, so we have three layers on this toolbar, right? So I've collapsed all of them to make it more smaller, right? So on this toolbar, like I said, you can actually collapse this and make it much smaller, but I just choose to make it a little bigger because I like how it looks like. Right, so now we have number one, we have design, we have viewpoint, we have document. I'll come back on this particular aspect later on, okay? So let me just leave it like that for now. So documenting tools. So all these you can actually see all these tools down here on your toolbar by the left, right? So we have layers, right? So you can use these layers for drafting layer. You have the approval layer. You have the mechanical, the structural. You have all these layers that you can actually work with. Now for now we are on drafting. You can click on site to actually work with the site layer, right? So now we have pen set, we have the okay, partial structure display. We don't use this most likely most of the times. So floor plan scale. So one of the things that is very important, I'll just stop here and talk about it a little bit more, right? Is the scale of your drawing is very important, right? Either you're working with scale 1 is to 100, scale 1 is to 50, scale 1 is to 20, scale 1 is to 200, scale 1 is to 500, right? So let me click on this floor plan scale for you to see how it looks like. So this is how it looks like, right? It's a small pop-up box, right? So here, these are the scale. So if you are conversant with scale, sorry, as an architect or probably a building, probably you're in the building field, interior design and all that, right? So scale is very, very much important. It actually reduces or increases the size of a drawing, right? So now what happens is, um, if you are doing a drawing, okay, well, this is a popular thing, right, for people that are into architecture and all these are professionals, right? So now they say this, the smaller the scale, the bigger the drawing, right? The bigger the drawing is the scale, the smaller the drawing. Let me come again. Let me rephrase that again, so you can actually write it down. So if I the next class will come, I'll bring a scale rule and I will explain a little bit more better for us, right? So now they say the smaller the scale rule, the smaller the scale, the bigger the drawing. The bigger the scale, the smaller the drawing. So now if you look at this is the biggest scale here. You can actually add more. Scale 1 is to 5,000. So this scale 1 is to 5,000 is the smallest of all amongst these ones we have here. So this is bigger. This bigger the scale, the smaller the drawing, like I said. If I click on this, so just watch this box here, how it's going to reduce in size. So let me click on scale 1 is to 5,000 and I click on OK. Are you seeing that it is very, very small? So the size of this has reduced down to a very, very much smaller size. Right, so now because it is this the scale is much more smaller, right? So you are actually doing what scale helps you do is to you are maintaining the size of the drawing, but then you are changing the size of this. You are maintaining the measurement rather. You're doing dimension or in millimeter or meter. You are changing. Sorry, give me a minute, please. Sorry for that, please. I have to just stop something that the noise that is coming in. All right. So this is the scale I use reduce. Let me go back again and I increase the scale, so you can actually see that it has changed. Whereas okay, we have the floor plan scale here. So I'll go back again and I'll click on. Let me click on this time around. Let me click on scale 1 is to 10. So this is the smallest. This is the smallest size, right? This is how small this elevation lines are. So, but if I click on scale 1 is to 10 and I click on OK, right? So it has enlarged. It has the size of that draw that has become bigger, right? So look at it. So it's bigger now. So you see that it has added size. So now that is what scale helps you do. It helps you to increase or reduce the drawing while you are maintaining the measurements. You're maintaining the measurements for every of these particular um, this for the drawing rather. Right, so let me fix it back to the normal scale that we're using, which is 100, right, which is like a normal scale for usage, either 100 or 50. But then if the drawing is a little bit bigger, like you're having a skyscraper drawing and you're working on the site, you can actually make use of scale 1 is to 200 to make it much more smaller or for to fit an A3 paper size. Right. So another thing that is important while you're doing your choosing your scale and the unit, working unit, is that the paper size. You probably want to print out your drawing, the project, right? So you want to choose a scale that will accommodate that paper size. So remember, I said something. If you're working, you can actually use this particular scale to now reduce your drawing size to fit into an A5. You know A5. A5 is half of A4 paper, right? You can actually use to do for A5, A6, A6 paper, right? So, but depend on the scale you choose, right? So just make sure I can still do a video explaining more about scale in a shorter time. Okay, so I'll do that a video about that. So or even while we are going on this course, I can still expand it. So please, while you're watching or you are joining us online, you can actually comment or let us know or let me know where you want us to expand more. So after now, I'll begin to do a video about that particular area to make it easier for us to understand. Okay, so I choose the 100 and I go back. Right, so now let's continue. We have the pen set. Right, so now I mentioned one thing. One of the things that is important in your drawing in Archicad is scale. So number two is pen set. Right, so what you want to do before once open your Archicad new layout like this, the things you want to set out first. Number one, you want to set your scale. Make sure it's on 100 or 200 depending on the paper size. Secondly, you want to set your pen set. And let me click on pens and colors. We have different for different people, different professions. You have building plans, you have detailing, you have structural, you have mechanical, you have color, you have grayscale. Right, so I click on pen and color, right? So this is where it comes to. So in Archicad or in architecture, we have something that's called architectural graphics. So in architectural graphics, what they taught us about pen or pen width, they call it pen width, is the fact that the for you to actually achieve a much more pleasant graphics on your drawing, right? You actually every line on your drawing has meaning. So now when you use pen width, right, what it means you're actually increasing the size of the tip of the pen. Right. So now this pen right here, this is like 0.5. This tip of this pen is like 0.5. So if I click on 0.5 here now, look at this drawing. If I click on 0.5, right? So now this millimeter, right? So now this is the pen width here. I'm customizing a pen with. So now if I add, I don't know if okay, prof. Those of us that do know pencils, there's 4B, there's 8B, there's 12B. So now different size of different grades of these pencils have different size of these pencils, right? So that's what it actually means. Okay, so I'll go back again on this one. I'll talk about it more later on. Okay, so let me just cancel it. I will not set it out. So you want to set your scale, check it, make sure your scale is set, and then your pen set, your pen width is checked. You increase your pen width. If probably you're doing a working drawing, you want to set all these parts, these aspects. We have model view, we have graphic overrides, we have innovation, there is floor plan, cut plane, and then there is creative imaging, right, for photo rendering. You can actually render your model on Archicad, right? But then I don't really do that, right? Because Archicad, if you don't understand the settings, it will take a little more time. Enscape is much more faster when it comes to that rendering, right? Especially when you're doing rendering on Archicad, it will take more time. The more feel you understand feel later when we talk about that. The more feel you use, or objects, the more objects you have, the more objects you have on your model, the higher the longer it takes for you to actually achieve a faster rendering. It take a longer time for you to achieve it. Okay, so let me check here to see if is there any question. Is there any question so far? So if you're just joining on, I don't know if there's any question you want to ask a question. Please feel free to ask your question, right? So I can actually know what to do or probably to touch back on this other point later on. So you can just comment and I'll check that out as we move on. right? So for it, any of these things we're talking about and you don't understand, please just let me know in the comment section. We'll talk about it, right? So we'll continue. Let's continue. Let's continue. Wait, wait. Okay, so hold on, I think this is. All right, so give me a minute, please. Let me make this settings. Okay, so all right, so let's continue from where we stopped. I hope it. I believe we're together, right? We're together. So we'll continue from where we stopped. So documents. We stopped at documents. So we're going to move down to. We have publish. We have drawings. We have layout book. We have schedules, right? Your door schedules, window schedules, annotations. We have annotation now for when it comes to doing your when it comes to when you finish doing your drawings, right, you can actually begin to dimension. There's automatic dimension in an Archicad, whereby you can actually just select the walls that you want to dimension, and then you just click on automatic dimensioning. What happens is it just automatically dimension it for you. You just dimension it, and then it makes it easier. But then I usually advise that for people that you're doing a drawing, right, it's easier. It's better for you to actually select and do the changes yourself. Select and edit it yourself, because if you do the automatic dimensioning, going back to go and make some changes later on might actually affect what you do, right? So it's better you actually make the changes yourself and then see how possible it is for you to begin to adjust those changes while you move on, right? So I'm trying to make these changes here. All right, so let's move on. We have just a minute, please. My screen just went dark, and I'm trying to. All right, it's okay. Right, I've resolved the problem. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so we have next part of this. We have the after documents. We have options. Right under options, we have element attributes. Under element attributes, you can actually see layers. You have lines. You have pen and colors. The pen and colors I talked about the other time. You have fill. You have surfaces, you have building materials. Let me just click on surfaces for us to see how it looks like. Right, for you have when you select an object, you can select a probably a wall. You can actually change the surface material of that particular object. Right, so now if I want to change the color of I have not selected the material here. That's why it's as if I'm not working on anything. But then I can actually change the material to make it much more realistic, much more glossy or shiny, depending on how I want it to look like. Right, so all those settings we talk about them later on. So now we have those here, we have field, we have zone options, we have profile manager. Another thing I will talk about is the profile manager, although subsequently, my profile manager is used to for some designs or things that you don't have listed out on Archicad. You can actually model them through profile manager. You can just create the design you want, right, or the shape you want, and then model that shape and use it to now actually do for walls or windows or doors, whatever the size may be. Right, you can actually do that. And then we have property manager, we have classification, we have complex profile. So it's the same thing as the profile manager here. And then we have project preferences. Now, so on that thing, I mentioned the first thing where we want to check out is the scale of the drawing, right? The first thing you want to check out is the scale of the drawing they are doing it in. Second thing you want to check out is the pen width, pens and colors, right? The third thing is the working units, right? Are you working in millimeter or meters or centimeter or feet or inches, whatever units you want to work with? Let me click on it first so you will see how it looks like, right? So it pops up, and then this is how it looks like, right? So you can actually choose which one is suitable for you, right? Which one you want to work with. So I'll select it for the length, for decimals, or whatever the is in the area and dimension and all that. So you just check it out and let's select it. So if I click on this, there's meter, there's decimal, there's decimeter, there's centimeter, there's millimeter, there's feet, right? And then and all that. So you can set these ones out. So that's the third thing you want to look at when doing your setting your drawing work environment. So this is work environment whereby you can actually choose tools from here to now make use of. For example, let me see on so this is what it is. So you can actually edit, make some adjustments to what you are seeing. Probably your cursor, your mouse, and other things that you want to work, you are using to work. You can actually change them here, your toolbars, and click on any of these and then select them. Sorry, I'll talk about this more in a much more wider perspective next class. Right. So for now, we're just going to see, we're just looking at the basics, the surface of each of these items, right? So now number talk about the next one, which is under window menu. We see that there's navigate, we have navigate, we have sections, we have 3D section documents, we have worksheets, we have elevations, interior elevations. Right, for interior elevations, for those of us that are into interior design, you can actually use this after doing your floor plan and doing your walls and windows. You have made your place your furniture. You can actually use this interior elevation to now create elevation for your interior space. Probably you want to give a specification to a carpenter to now do a what do you call it again? A TV console for you, or a wall cladding, right? You can actually use that and then do dimensions, add dimensions, and make it much more specific and detailed, for that person to actually work with the drawing you want to do, right? So now we have closed tab project, we have closed window, we have toolbars. So these other tools here, but I don't work with it personally more. But then for once I work with, I will actually give you much more bigger explanation about it. So we have toolbars. So toolbars, we have 3D visualization. We have underneath all these items, right? So if, for example, you are working on this Archicad project and you're not seeing anything, probably you're not seeing your toolbars here, or you're not seeing an item here, you can actually go back to window and click on toolbars and click on it. So for example, let me click on one of them. Let me click on classic 3D navigation. So you see now it pops up this menu here. So I can actually place this menu either on my bottom part of my drawing. I can place it on my left part, on the left part of my drawing. I can place it on the top part of the drawing, right? I can actually customize it, place it anywhere I want, right? Depending on where the best position I want to click. Let's say we have let me click on it again, and I click on which one will I click now? We click on arrange elements, right? So now this I usually make use of this one sometimes. So I'll click on this one. So now there's group, suspend all groups, there's auto group, there's on group, there's unlock all. So we have seen all these other menus before. So I can start to move this down here and place it underneath here just to stay there. Right? And while I'm working, it makes it easier for me to now go down there and select that item and continue working. Right. So now window, under the window we have palettes. The same thing for palettes too. We have navigator, we have quick options. You click on quick options so you can see how it looks like here for the quick options. Right. So now if I don't want it to be here, I can go back to the windows, click on palettes, and I remove, click on the quick options again, and it goes up. All right. So now it's easier for you to work with it. And then lastly we have help. Click on help. We have the Archicad help. We have high tools tip. We have documentation Archicad, like for to help you guide you through the Archicad process. But then it's a little bit tedious because you have to now begin to search type as we are browsing online. So but then we have Enscape also. Right. So because I've already installed Enscape, that is why Enscape is showing on my menu here, right? It's showing my menu here. That's because I've already installed it. So, but if I've not installed it, it won't show, right? So now the same thing. If you look down here, you see this Escape menu, right? You see Escape menu showing here. So for this, we have Escape start Escape. We have synchronized views. We have live updates. We are going to talk about Escape at the last part of this training, right? So stay tuned to the last day, which is Saturday. I think on Friday and Saturday is the last days for this particular training. We have asset library. I'm going to teach you all through how to use Enscape and then get the best out of it, right? So you can ask once you install Enscape is a plugin, right? So there's Enscape Archicad, there's Enscape SketchUp, Enscape plus SketchUp, Enscape plus Revit. For these other tools, right? So you can actually, after doing your models or drawings, you can actually quickly just do your renderings in Enscape. And okay, so let's go down to the toolbars here. So on that we have arrow tool, we have marquee tool. So let me click on arrow tool, for example. Arrow tool is used to select. one of the things that arrow tool does is to select. So if I click on this, I'll click on a particular point and I hover around the particular item I want to select, and I click again, and it selects it. It shows the green lines and then the black dots, right? So I can actually now begin to edit this, or I want to just want to let me say I want to highlight all my drawings. I can just use this and highlight all of them. Or I want to select one at a time. I can use and click on it, and I select one or another. Right, so I can click on it at any different time. So now that's what arrow tool is all about. So marquee tool is the same thing. But marquee tool is used to select, you can select multiple things. Oh, but marquee tool is very useful in the sense that if I have a large project here, for example, this let's say I did a floor plan, and they have up to 20 windows. I have up to 10, 10 or let me say 7 doors. I have up to let's say 5 objects or 20 or 30 objects on my working plan. So what I can do is marquee tool is to click on marquee, and I'll select this bolder marquee tool here, selection method, and I highlight, click outside, and I highlight over. You click one and then click out again to drop. So it begin to highlight on this place. So what I can do now is I can go to my design, to my toolbar, and I select, probably I want to select all my windows, right? I can now click on window, and I now click on Control A. So what I will do now is to select only my windows within that selection marquee, right? It's to select, highlight only my windows. The same thing if I want to do that for doors. I can click on doors, and I'll click on Control A to select all the doors. Or if I do that for objects, to select all the objects. Same thing for any other tool under this toolbar that I want to select. So arrow tool is to select either one or you want to select everything. But then marquee tool is to select by tools. You want to select all through, you want to select all. You can click escape on your screen, right? Or you can just click outside it to exit the marquee tool, right? So now that is it. So on this toolbar we have design. For design, everything under design, you can actually, when you click on anything under design, it will display here, and then it will display on your 3D view. This is your 3D window, right? Click on it here, it will display here, right? And it will display on your 3D and your section and your elevation. Everything has each model. So for viewpoint, if I click on viewpoint, are we still together? Are we together? Any questions so far? All right. So if I click on viewpoint, what viewpoint helps me do? What viewpoint helps me do is it will. Okay. So what viewpoint helps me do? It is that it will make it easier for. Where is viewpoint again? Okay. So what viewpoint helps me do is for me to actually, if I want to see in plan or in elevation, right? Elevation or section or detail. So now this viewpoint is to now capture a particular area, set some things. Like for, let's say for example section. You want to do a section, you can actually use that section to draw a section line and view here or view the other side. Right, so let me click on here. So now this is me doing a section now. Okay, let me click on Control Z and I'll exit that. And the same thing for elevation, the same thing for interior elevations, right? So the same thing for detail. So now if you go down to document, we have document. Now we have dimension, we have level dimension, we have texts, we have label, we have grid elements, we have change, we have full line, we have arc, we have head spots, we have figure. For this figure, you can actually use this figure to import a picture into your. Probably you have a floor plan that you don't want to stress yourself doing a floor plan from start from scratch. You can just click on figure and then import the picture. You can open it will open out your dialog box, and then you import the picture into your Archicad, and you just trace it out, right? And then continue your drawing as easy as possible. Right, so let's go back to this one. So now we have for wall, like I said, for every tool you click here under this toolbar, either on viewpoint, right, or under document, right. So once you click on any of these tools, it will highlight the settings of that particular tool here. To highlight the settings of that particular tool here, where it becomes easier for you to now actually join in and continue the process. Right, you can actually join in and then you can actually set that tool to your own specification and continue working. Right, so let me click on this wall tool for example again, and then let's see before we round up for today. I'll talk about this the navigator bar and then we'll round up for today. Right, so now we have um, we have the wall tool, and then for this wall tool we see that we have for the wall tool we have the settings displayed here. So let me click on this. Let me click on this small arrow here and click on this, double click on it. Right. So what happens? It pops up this window. So under this window, I have model, there is geometry and position. So I can actually set the height. I can set the height of these. Let me select not linked. I can select the height of this particular wall, wall height. Right. I can make it 3,300 millimeter, right? And then from the base offset is zero, so it starts from the floor level zero. As I'm making use of a structure, I don't want any plaster. For this one it has plaster by the two sides, but I don't want any plaster, so let me work with just a plain wall. So I have this, and I actually set the wall thickness 225 or 150 millimeter, right? I set the wall thickness to 150 for a bungalow, right? So and I go back and I click on floor plan and section. So with this floor plan and section, I can begin to edit how the color of the floor, the wall line. I can edit it and check how I want it to look like, right? So projected. So if I want this, so by tomorrow when we come back next, we'll talk about this particular tool because now we're going to be doing a floor plan and all that, right? So let's go down. So that's all. That's it for this particular tool that are here. So then let's go down to the navigator. Right, this is navigator by the right here. So just click on it once and it shows this navigator. So now under navigator we have stories, we have sections, we have elevations, we have interior elevations, we have worksheets, we have details, we have 3D documentations, we have 3D, which is your generic perspective or generic. So you want to see your 3D. So another way you can see your 3D is through this point. Just click on this point, and once you have done the 3D to show here, it will be displayed here on this screen, right? It will be displayed on this screen, so you can actually pan around, move around. So we have not done anything yet. That's why. So now if you look at this, right, so it show all this. So if I can add another floor plan, I can add another floor. This is my ground floor. I can add a first floor. I can add a second floor. I can add a third floor. I can add a continue adding floors, even up to 100 floors. The skyscraper, whatever size of the building I want, or the project I'm working on, can do that, adding more, and adding more on this particular aspect. Right. So now you can decide to show navigator, you can decide not to show navigator by clicking this other parts right here. So that is all for today. I don't know if there's any question, please help me write down the questions on the comment section. Right. So by next class, the next class will come tomorrow, by this time tomorrow. Right. So we're going to talk about those questions before we begin other processes. Okay. Right. So now added to this particular document, there's an assignment for us to actually work on. So before we go down, right, I would want to talk about these items you can see below here. Right, so now we have the fit to window. Right, for example, while you're working on your ground floor, and then mistakenly or suddenly you lost track of where you're working on. Now, let me say I just zoom out and I'm not seeing anything again on my drawing. Right, it just becomes blank. I'm not seeing anything. So I can just come here and click on fit in window. So immediately to just appear. Those that drawing that seems as if it has lost will just come back to this drawing. So now the same thing, you can actually edit my scale. I can change my scale here. I can check the drafting, change it from drafting to detailed or to approval or to preliminary, depending on what I want to. And I can click on entire model, building project, building plan and all that. Right, so it becomes easier for you to work with. Right, so please feel free to subscribe to this channel. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is Architect's Guide. Right, so by tomorrow we are going to come back again and talk about more. We'll begin to draw a plan, we begin to draw and to see how it becomes easier for us to work with Archicad as a professional or you are just an enthusiast. Right, so just comment below on what I've said so far and then where you want me to blow out a little bit tomorrow. Okay, so I'll show you the assignment here. Let me display my screen and show us the assignment. Right, so the assignment we have, okay, we have the assignments here. right? So if you're viewing this screen, right, so now this is the assignment one. So Archicad familiarization. So now what the exercise is, you go back and install an open Archicad. If you have done that, you open Archicad, create a new project, navigate through, and from the every section we have talked about for the menus, the toolbars, and then the 3D views, right? And then take screenshot of Archicad interface and then the 3D. So you now submit it right via the WhatsApp group by tomorrow, or you submit it on the comment section on this particular stream, so that when I come in, we'll come in tomorrow, we'll check all these assignments and we'll see what we did before we continue on to the next part of this class. All right, so stay tuned to tomorrow. All right, so we meet again tomorrow. So if you have any question, like I said, please don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. So this is the assignment down here. So you can go back to this stream and then check the assignment and complete the assignment before we start tomorrow's class. Right. So I'll be posting the link for tomorrow's session here on the YouTube channel. Okay. God bless us and have a wonderful night rest. Bye for now, everyone.